Amanda Cadabra and the Cellar of Secrets by Holly Bell. Read by Holly Bell. Chapter 1. Why Amanda Found the Body. Call a doctor or search for clues? Amanda Cadabra took the few vital seconds to make the decision. But then she had never been impulsive. Mrs. Cadabra, with the best will in the world from you and your husband, your granddaughter could not have had a normal childhood. In response, the lady seated with regal posture on the chintz sofa inhaled and raised an eyebrow, rendering her larger violet eye even more magnified than usual. Her piercing glare demanded an explanation. Detective Sergeant Thomas Trelawney of the Devon and Cornwall Police was not easily intimidated, as Vic, the headbanger Hardy, could have told anyone brave enough to have asked him. However, on this, his first visit to 26 Orchard Row, sunken madly, Trelawney needed to make some kind of connection with Sonara, Perrin, and their beloved granddaughter and adoptee Amanda. These three were, after all, the only witnesses to the day of the incident, 28 years ago, that he was here to continue investigating. Here was a village that had grown up out of the rural landscape over a period of 800 years. It lay 13 miles to the north of the Houses of Parliament and 3 miles south of the border of Hertfordshire. Herts, as the abbreviation is styled, was home to Jane Austen's Emma and the seat of the burgeoning aircraft industry in the last century. Since those days, the county boundaries had moved so that sunken Madley was now, technically, on the outskirts of Greater London. Nevertheless, sunken Madley still was, in spirit, a country village, off the beaten track, hidden by the encircling trees. It was distinguished only by its orchard of Hormead pearmain apples and fine stained glass windows adorning the medieval church of St. Ursula without Barnet. Of particular interest to students of the art was the composition of the saint and the little bear with the bag of apples. A gust of wind cast a pink handful of cherry blossom against the living room window as Trelawney's hazel eyes returned Mrs. Cadabra's gaze, politely but unwaveringly. He said mildly, in other words, Amanda wouldn't always have been able to play in the fields, run up and down the garden, maybe eat anything she wanted, like the other children here could. One couldn't expect you to know this, Sergeant, not having any of your own, Mrs. Cadabra pronounced with sympathetic condescension. But, and she took a loose hairpin from her white victory roll, children adapt. She speared the accessory back into her coiffure to signal that the subject was closed. Trelawney hadn't finished. He thrived on puzzles, bringing order to chaos and justice to the wronged. However, above these assets, his soon-to-be-retired boss, Chief Inspector Hogarth, trusted his seasoned judgment, especially of when to operate with a light touch. He swivelled his tall, slim, grey-suited form towards Perrin, who smiled kindly and said with his gentle, Cornish-flavoured voice, "I know what you mean, Sergeant." But Amanda was always a very special little one. Since she was a baby, she spent her fair share of nights in the local hospital when we didn't know if she'd pull through. We did our best to help her, but in the end, she learned the hard way that her choices had consequences. Did that make Amanda fearful? Wary? Oh, no, Sergeant. Just careful. Wise, even, beyond her years. Though in others she's young for her age. But as Sonara said, she got used to things like carrying her inhaler, avoiding certain food, watching the pollen count. Amanda always says. It isn't terminal after all. It's just asthma. It was asthma that had brought Amanda Cadabra to this moment, this room, this body. She felt for a pulse. It had all happened a great deal sooner than anyone in the village could have expected. Even Dr. Sharma, who was in the know, when she told Amanda about the new allergy clinic, had said that it was months away. Amanda had dropped in to collect a repeat prescription for her asthma inhaler on her way to see about a furniture restoration job. An eager trainee from infancy, Amanda had taken over her grandfather's business. Asthma and furniture restoration were unlikely bedfellows, with the toxic chemicals, dust and hard physical labour. This had niggled Trelawney from the first time he had read the case file 3 years ago. Amanda's secret levitation skills enabled her to cope covertly but ably. Trelawney, however, was a long way from even contemplating this possibility. And even if he had been able to, it would have been only with extreme scepticism and inexplicable discomfort. Still, Amanda took sensible precautions and always had her inhaler handy. Dr. Sharma was a respected and gifted physician, and between her own magic and the general practitioner's medicine, the asthma was under reasonable control. However, there was no denying that Amanda's chest momentarily tightened when Nita Sharma had told her where they were going to build an allergy research centre.